Steam locomotives are one of the most common type of engines that you see. Throughout the 19th to the 20th century, the steam engines evolved until 1950, where the steam engines were now replaced by diesels. But today, they still roam the rails as of today. But thanks to privatization, there were over 2,000 steam locomotives preserved, either they're on operation on the main line, on tourist railroads, or even on display in parks or museums. We should be glad that preservation saved these engines, because without it, the steam era would have ended. But, however, not all steam engines were lucky. There are many types of steam locomotives that didn't survive beyond the day use steam, because preservation does not work like that. For today's video, I'll be going through every steam locomotive that I meant for preservation, or just scrapped by accident, or just forgotten entirely. From speed demons to heavy haulers, I'll give you the top 13 extinct steam locomotives. There are some steam engines on this list that you won't know, but there's some classes of steam engines that you wouldn't know. So let's not waste any time and let's get onto the top 13 extinct steam locomotives. At number 13, we have the Santa Fe 3776 class Nordens. These 10 Nordens were built by the Baldwin Locomotive Works by the following succeeding Norden Santa Fe 3751. These 10 Norden engines were mostly, I think, used on freight or passengers, but mostly on freight because of the Second World War. Between 1949 through 1952, the nickel plate steel were replaced, no idea why. The 3776 class will continue service on the Santa Fe until the diesels arrive on the Santa Fe roster. The 3776 class would be retired between 1956 through 1959, and they were now all scrapped together. It's a shame that not a single Norden from this class survived during the dieselization. However, we should be grateful that 9 Santa Fe Norden types are preserved today. That is including Santa Fe 3751, Santa Fe 3759, and Santa Fe 2926. Do you guys really think that the 3776 class legacy would end? Well, no. There are models of the 3776 class, so the legacy could live on. At number 12, we have not one, but two Santa Fe 464 type Hudson locomotives. The first one being 3460 and then 3461. There is only two reasons why I put both these engines on this list. Well, let me explain. 3460, 3461, and her sisters were built for the service between Laguna, Colorado to Chicago, Illinois. During the construction of the 3460 class, 3460, the leader of this class, received a special design as well as streamlined and was painted light robin's egg blue and silver paint scheme. She was the only steam engine to receive this special design and paint scheme. Then for 3461. In December 1917, the 3461 set a world record for the longest single run by a steam locomotive by completing the 2,227 miles from Los Angeles, California to Chicago without maintenance other than 5 refueling stops en route, hauling train number 8, the Fast Mail. However, 3461's unique history didn't end there, as the engine was fitted with a streamlined skyline casing along the top of the boiler, encasing stack and domes, and experimented to see if it helps clear smoke away from the locomotive. It's not retained. The two Hudson type locomotives would continue serving for Santa Fe until the 1950s, where the diesels arrived on the Santa Fe roster. and just like the 3766 class, both of them were scrapped. However, there is one Santa Fe Hudson type reserve in the 3460 class, number 3463, now on display in Topeka, Kansas. But there's plans for that engine to be restored to operating condition. But there's also another Santa Fe Reserve Hudson type, number 3450, the leader of the 3450 class, now located in Panama, California, in the Rail Giants Museum. Now, there are two reasons why I put these two engines together. For 3460, it was the only engine to receive the streamlining, as I said before. Now, the reasons for 3461. For 3461, I couldn't find her history interesting because of her world record and then her skyline casing. It's a shame that she was scrapped along with 3460. If I had to choose which one of these engines should be preserved, I would say the 3460 is because of her streamlining. Now number 11, we got the Chesapeake, Ohio C16 OEO type steam locomotives. The Chesapeake, Ohio class C16s was a class of large OEO switch engines built in 3 batches by 3 different builders. Shortly after the Pearl Harbor bombing in 1941 that caused the United States to declare war on Japan Empire and started the World War II Pacific Theater, the Lima Locomotive Works borrowed Alco's blueprints for the C16s and built 15 copies dubbed C16A and given road numbers 240 through 254 in 1942. Interestingly, 3 more dubbed the C16Bs were built by Baldwin in 1948 and given road numbers 255 through 284. By 1950, 63 engines became redundant due to dieselization and were sold to other roads. The C16As went to the Virginian, the C16Bs went to the Norfolk and Western, and curiously, in 1954, 18 of the original C16s were overhauled and donated to South Korea for use on the Korean National Railway. The C16Bs had became the basis of the NNW's S1A OAO switcher built between 1951 and 53, totaling 45 examples. The last one built had the W's distinction of being the very last steam locomotive ever built for a Class 1 railroad, and the first of the S1As to be scrapped, and none of them made to preservation. Do you guys ever think of a Union Pacific 280 consolidation into a mainline locomotive? Well, that's for number 10. Coming in at number 10, we got the Union Pacific 2880 Bull Moose. These 2880 steam locomotives were built by Algo Brooks between 1918 and 1924 for use on heavy haul freight on Sherman Hill. They were given the name Bull Moose by the Union Pacific crews. I had no idea why the UP crew would give this steam engine name the Bull Moose. These 2880 Bull Moose would continue serving the Union Pacific until they began to retire in the 1940s and the early 50s. Because of their speed, they can only do 12 miles an hour, while compared to the 9000 class, they can do series of 50 miles an hour. Other railroads like the Kansas City Southern also use this 2880 rail arrangement, but they've also been retired and they are now scrapped. What is left about the 2880s is KCS 759's tender, now preserved at the Illinois Railway Museum in Lincoln, Illinois. Coming in at number 9, we got the Illinois Central 2600 class 482 Mountains. In the 1940s, during the Second World War, the Illinois Central Railroad, or the ICRR, needed more steam locomotives for their usage within the United States to tackle the issue of the Second World War. So the Illinois Central Railroad had decided to go back to the drawing board and design a new steam locomotive for themselves. They asked particular Kentucky shops to build the specific class of locomotives they were wanting, and to the Illinois Central 2600 series. These locomotives were built for usage on the Inner Central within the US to tackle the issue of the Second World War. Withdrawal of the class began in the 1950s, and the last engine was out of service by 1960 in favor of diesels. They were all caught up afterwards. On October 2nd, 1960, 2613 was refueled for the final time at Central City, Kentucky. It then put an excursion trip from Louisville to Dawson Springs, Kentucky and back. And then this historical mark the very last run to be made by an Illinois Central steam engine. After the run, the railroad offered to donate 2613 to the Kentucky Railway Museum, but having no space for the museum, they have no choice but to scrap the 2613. However, her tender continued her legacy until being scrapped in 2011.